Hey everyone, update here on MSTR or MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. And the reason for the update is that we see a lot of people really still focusing on this, and we think it's very much a retail focus. Bitcoin, as I'm recording this, has held up very well, relatively speaking, to equities, and we think that's because a lot of retail investors are still looking to buy the dip. So let me show you the chart, walk you through this, how we look at this through the lens of risk management. So this is just a chart of Bitcoin, and of course, if I were to pull up the chart of MSTR, you would see more or less the same chart. Now, the thing about this is it really kind of is, it can really go two ways at this point. So this is kind of the point that we want to make. There is an entirely good possibility that, let's just start with Bitcoin, because that really is going to drive the price of MSTR, and then we'll get back to MSTR. So you can't really trade or invest in MSTR unless we know what Bitcoin is doing. And so what you're seeing here is, again, very much an inflection point, meaning we're not really breaking higher, at least not as I'm recording this. We haven't broken lower, and it's again because the retail investor is sort of and still to sort of buy the dip mode, and that is both the opportunity, but also it's the risk. It's certainly the risk for MSTR. So there is a case to be made that we're going to see more liquidity come in fiscally, as well as from a monetary perspective in some shape or form. And that would certainly be, and it doesn't have to be, it can be from China, it can be out of Japan, it could be out of Europe, which is doing monetary stimulus. They dropped rates. So you could see all that take place, and that would be positive for the price of Bitcoin. However, if the global economy slows enough, and the U.S. economy leading some of that because of tariffs, then the case certainly would be that at some point the retail investor kind of gives up more so than they have so far. There's a lot of statistics we have to show that the retail investor is not selling or certainly hasn't capitulated yet. And then, but if that were to happen, then Bitcoin certainly would go lower. We would think maybe towards 50,000, and that would be the moment of truth also where MSTR or MicroStrategy really could be in a heap of trouble. And that's not because their long-term play may not work out, but because they have, from the calculations I hear, about a 67,000 entry point for their average price for Bitcoin. If the price were to drop meaningfully below there, and stay down for a while, then the leverage that they have in that business certainly could spell a lot of trouble. So for my money, right now, I personally own some Bitcoin for diversification purposes. I think it's a great idea for that reason. I certainly think it could work. But I would not be betting the farm here on a lot of things, including MSTR. If and when we see a breakout here in MSTR, which would be a function of Bitcoin going higher, and it hasn't happened yet as of this recording, then certainly that would probably have come on the back of more liquidity, again, be that fiscally or from a monetary perspective, somewhere around the world. And that is a possibility, but again, we're not quite there yet. Hope it helps. See you in the next video.